Drop your cocks and grab your socks. It's happening this week. Sometime this week, we are going to be seeing a Shadowlands Alpha. The announcement just went out a few minutes ago. My Twitter feed absolutely went mental, and that means things are happening. Finally, this is such a big turning point for Blizzard. BFA, in the eyes of so many, has been up and down. Some people love it. A lot of people hated it. And as I said recently on the Allcraft show with Zach and Rich, there are so many players out there who want to play World of Warcraft but do not want to play BFA, that this is such a big deal. Like, Shadowlands is a bigger deal than we've seen in a long time. We thought it was weird with WoD into Legion. This is so much more. So much more. So we've got this big blog post. I want to cover some of the really cool things they've mentioned here. They're being very cheeky, very classic Blizz-like, actually, throwing some jokes in there. As well as my plan of action for the channel, what's going to be happening with it, and how we're going to tackle the alpha along with you guys and make sure we get the best coverage we can do as a team here. So what they're going to do, and I know a lot of people were kind of pissed off. I talked about this morning. I literally talked about this today, and people were already pissed off, but you've got to be careful. The alpha is going to come with one zone. They're going to have all the classes, but all the classes have got most of the classes, or some of the classes, will have a lot of changes. We'll get to that in a second. But they're only going to give us the one zone and one dungeon to start with. That's very normal. Don't be pissed off. A lot of people think when Shadowlands Alpha is out and people are playing it, that they have Shadowlands. That's not going to be the case. They're testing. This is what it's for. It's testing. Making sure the quests work. Making sure you don't fall through the world in various places. Making sure things are happening. The dialogue's working. That the mobs work. Things like that. So the way they do that is they give you a piece of the game and replay it over and over again as many times as possible. It's the best testing they can get done so that when it goes live, you guys get a good idea of what's happening. So that's what we're going to get this week, is we're going to get the Bastion Zone. This is a zone that many of us have already played. We did get to play this at BlizzCon. It's beautiful. It's gorgeous. Looking forward to it. Did not get to play the dungeon at BlizzCon, so looking forward to that a lot. But it's going to be over a period of time that they're then going to give us another zone and another zone, and we're going to go through it. And we're going to see it all. So I'll probably do what I did last time, which is like a quick review of the zone, the feel of it, how it plays out. And then I might do exactly what we did during Legion, which was the whole zone playthrough. It's like a 4-hour video, and not everybody wants to watch that, but those that really do want to see the progression of the zone, it works for them. So we might do something along those lines as well, so you get an idea of that. So it's like a commentated, extended length video to go along with that as well. Now, they are saying they're being picky about who's getting in. We did get this message a while ago. I have had my run-ins with Blizzard, but everything seemed fine when I was talking to the devs at BlizzCon. I did get to speak to Ian. So hopefully we're okay and we're going to get in. But they are being picky about who gets in and when. That was a message we got a while ago, is that the devs are individually kind of picking. And the reason for this isn't a case of I like you, don't like you, is Blizzard's content creator influencer list, whatever you want to call it, had grown so huge over the 15 years of bringing people in that many people on it don't even play the game anymore and haven't played it for years. So they were like, why are we giving invites out to all these people when they don't even touch the game in a lot of cases? So they really wanted to condense it and go through who they wanted to have in. Hopefully we're on the list. That would be really, really nice. So we are going to get Torghast in about later in April. We hope to offer the zone of Rivendreth, which is the next zone, as well as look at Torghast. So we might see Torghast, which is a big deal, this month. Torghast is going to be the required content that gets you your legendary craftables. That was what we heard at BlizzCon. This is where your legendary craftables come from. It's an endless dungeon mode that constantly scales up. Not time-based. Very nice for a lot of people who don't like Mythic Plus. We'll have to see how that plays out. But we might get to see that this month. That might be happening. And then they're going to continue to unlock stuff as time goes on. They are going to do the full wipe at the end of Alpha. Very normal. And then what they're already telling us, and I love this, this is a great line of communication here, because often we do not get this at all, is when beta launches and they send out more invites, that will be continuous up until the end of beta. That will be continuous and no wipes are planned there. This is great news for people like me. You might remember the Legion Alpha, where I ended up making like 7 Shadow Priests, because every couple of days they were like wiping it again and coming back in, so you had to re-level all the way to cap, then try again to learn stuff if they'd made changes. It was a real pain in the ass. Now they're laying it down. It's like Alpha is going to be going through, then they're going to wipe Alpha, so we're all ready for that. This is why communication is important, because if it happens randomly, you're like, ugh. But now they're telling us now, before it comes out, yeah, we're going to wipe your characters then beta will start, and you'll have to go through it again. That's fine. As long as we're fully aware of what's happening, that's cool. Now, let's look at some of these important pieces. Players of all 12 classes will immediately see changes in their spellbooks, talents, and in some cases, even their resources. Shadow Orbs. Shadow Orbs, new resource for healers would be interesting. My imagination is already going crazy. Mana no longer being a thing, relying on something else. That would be cool. All sorts of things that could potentially be awesome within that one line. And I know I'm going overboard already, but I would love to see stuff like that. We'll have a separate blog. Love this. One of the best things about Cataclysm is the dev water cooler that Ghostcrawler used to do. So this is something I've referenced a huge amount in my content, is that Blizzard, Ghostcrawler himself, would write these massive blogs talking about what they were thinking at the time, why they've decided to make some changes, what are the things they were tackling, all these different nuanced elements, because so often it's a case of we don't know why they did stuff, like Master Looter and stuff. We never get a clear message of what the real idea is, and sometimes it's even, they give us a brief idea, but it doesn't make any sense. Good blog posts, nice, written down. We can go through it and say, okay, I understand where you're coming from or what their reasoning behind stuff is. Love this. So separate blogs coming out in the coming days discussing how we applied the class design philosophies we laid out at BlizzCon and giving key examples, thank you, of the sorts of changes to expect for each class and their specializations. Love this. This is so good, is that we can dig deep into what the mindset is, why they're doing things, and also provide feedback on that. Unlike the last couple of expansion alphas, where the conversation with the community often began with us saying, tell us what you miss, this time around, we're eager to hear whether we have gone too far with the unpruning. Maybe a bunch of folks actually really hated Eyes of the Beast all along, who knows. So this sounds to me like they're throwing everything at the alpha with the classes. There's everything. What stuff don't you want? Which stuff is the frustrating stuff? Like, play with it again, get rid of the rose-tinted goggles, and tell us, okay, I really don't like this. I thought I wanted this back. I actually don't. That kind of feedback is going to be crucially important. And I would much prefer them to do this, which is, let us give you too much, and then we'll listen to you guys, and then we'll start adjusting accordingly. Instead of it giving like a bare bones, big problem with BFA. First video I made of the BFA Alpha was like, what is this? You give us like this, barely any spells to use, and they're all boring. This time around, here's everything. Took it back. Let's hope that's what we get. The next big point they made. Improvements to quest interface. They're putting in a 3D pointer. They're going to make certain quests that are story-driven, which are stuff you probably need to complete. They're going to make that more obvious, and they're going to add it in so you can link better, and it tells you where things spawn. If you're linking in a group, in a party, it'll give you coordinates and things. Really, really nice. The next point a lot of people are really happy about is conquest points. They're now a spendable currency again. They even put in here, it's an easy-to-find vendor, naturally. I like that. Conquest can also be used to upgrade the gear further, similar to how Benthic Gird with Mana Pearls in Rise of Ashara. So, again, if you've used Valor Points or things like that, you know the idea. It just bumps the gear up. We'll have a lot more information to share on details of the system. This is the brief overview. But that is one thing that is definitely coming back. Now, it says here, this is the important bit that you guys really need to pay attention to, especially for people who like to go and jump forward. Our community, fan sites, and community are going to dig into those files for stuff that's not even released on the alpha yet, and they're going to find things. You need to bear in mind, and they put this in here, a lot of the game's data contains experimental ideas, stuff they thought about, and discarded ideas. So, for a very brief example, if they dig into the files and they find a dance studio, what they don't want is you guys to go, the dance studio is confirmed. It might not be. And if it's not actually in the alpha and it's not something we can physically play and see and do, don't confirm it. Don't, in your mind, go, it's definitely there. That might not be the case. It's definitely going to work this way. It's definitely going to work that way, because it might be something they were thinking about doing. They didn't manage to figure it out. There might be zones in there. And then we get those ridiculous videos. It's like, well, this was supposed to be here. There's loads of things that are supposed to be in everything in World of Warcraft. There are tons of things that are supposed to be in the game because they had an idea for it. And then they tried it and they didn't like it, or they couldn't finish it, or something like that. And people get really stuck on this stuff. But that happens for literally every video game ever made. The amount of stuff people want to put in their games and just simply can't all the time. So they're trying to preempt that. If you read about something, if somebody somewhere posts, we've data mined this legendary weapon that kills everything, don't lose your mind. They're throwing ideas out there. This is a very TBC mindset. We're throwing a ton of stuff out there, the same with the classes. don't settle on it and don't put your flag in it and then call it dog shit because you didn't like it, because it might not even be in the game. It might be an old idea. So it says here, just take data mining with a grain of salt. Always good advice, regardless of what's happening. We remain guided by the core philosophies that we articulate at BlizzCon. Player agency and empowering choices. We'll wait and see, right? We'll wait and see. We can't share the details of these systems with you as soon as we can't wait to share the details. One of our main lessons learned from past expansions is the vital importance of carving out a large window in our alpha and beta for feedback. Now, this goes back to what we said last week about where is Shadowlands is hopefully, at this point, it's April now. Are they still trying to meet some sort of 2020 deadline because they kind of internally got that laid out? Or are they now saying, look, we're going to take our time, we're going to do what we can, but wait and see. Please wait and see. We'll take our time. We'll get the feedback in. So there's the promise, right? There's the promise. We're going to dedicate this time to your feedback. What stuff do we want to remove from classes? What stuff we want to do going forward with dungeons and group settings, armor, new systems, especially when it gets to the covenants and the soulbind system, which we're not going to see till much later in the alpha cycle. Crafted legendary items, all this stuff. Hopefully they're going to listen to our feedback. So I know a lot of you are pessimistic. I'm a pessimist right now. I can't help it. But we will wait and see, and we will stick to their rules. That's the rules we play. Their rules are we're going to carve out this time for feedback. Fair enough. Feedback ye shall have. Feedback ye shall have. So, having put all that out there, how are we going to tackle this? We're obviously going to be, certainly here in the office, we're going to be doubling down on getting something out for every single class as quickly as possible so we can see all this stuff they've thrown in there, right? Everything they've thrown in, all that kind of good stuff. See what's going on. And then we're going to look at, you're going to see a lot of the first dungeon in the first couple of weeks. I would like to do TDPs on them where we can get extensive play. We'll do something similar to what we did in WoD, which was the quick looks. A lot of you really liked the quick looks, where we don't go into like a 40-minute in-depth because these characters and these classes are all under constant change and ebb and flow. Is a quick look of like, this is the general idea. This is what I think about it so far. This is the kind of feedback I would probably give right now, and throw it out to you guys. And then we'll do TDPs where we get some long play of those classes, but we'll try and do something for every single spec as quickly as possible. And then, of course, as more zones come out, we'll do it in that way as well. They're also going to give us the new leveling starter system, so I'm interested to check that out. It's not something that pertains to me, but it definitely pertains to a lot of you guys. They're going to do it on the Alliance side to start off with, so we will check that. We'll check everything out just to see what it's like. I'm particularly interested in Torghast, crafting, legendaries. The Covenant system and the Soulbinds have been a big point of contention for me over how they're going to play out. Can't wait to see that in action. That's what's going to be on there. So that's my approach in the next week or so whenever this comes out. Assuming I get in. I hope I get in. And the promise I can make to you. So remember, these videos are all for free. Like, I'm demonetized on YouTube. If you do, I'll throw $1 at Patreon. That would be really, really nice. That helps me and it helps Chris, who is doing the graphics and stuff. You've no doubt seen all these updated changes and stuff like that. In terms of my streaming, we stream a lot. There will be some crossover. The time to do this has got to come from somewhere. So there'll be some days where it's mix and match and things like that. I know many of you, we have an interesting audience now of people who like don't want to see World of Warcraft. They like the fact that we're doing Resident Evil. They like the fact that we're doing Fallout and things like that. My focus is always going to be World of Warcraft until the day the game drives me away, I guess is probably appropriate. Not until the day the game dies. So my focus will be on Shadowlands coming forward. It's happening. It's happening. Let's wait and see if we actually get that invite, all right? See you soon. Bye-bye.